I've lived in Westwood all my life. And I still live in Westwood. I was married in Westwood. I grew up in Westwood. I graduated from Westwood High School. Um,
So how many years is that altogether now?
81 years. It'll be 82 in February.
82 in February.
Mm-hmm.
And Joan, what's your maiden name, Joan?
Thompson.
Thompson.
Yes.
Okay. And with you, next to you, is your sister.
Yes.
Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Grace Carlson, and we moved to Westwood to stay when I was 2 years old. I'm now 89.
Okay. About the article that you wrote.
Well, it was just about what it was like growing up next to the firehouse, what it was like hearing the whistle all the time, which we had to get used to because it was so loud, and it always blew the number of the area in Westwood that the fire was at or whatever. And we played next door. I mean, they never stopped us. We played in front of the firehouse. There was paved in front. We threw balls off the side of the firehouse. I walked on stilts up and down their stairs. We went around the corner by the driveway that went down to the back, and you could look in the little window down near and see the police, the jail cell down below, which was a fascinating look for a child, Just the time that was, we could ride bikes there, we could roller skate there, we could.
Did you ever see a prisoner? Did you ever see a prisoner in the jail?
I'm sorry, I'm
Did you ever see a prisoner in the jail?
No, empty jail cells.
So when the firehouse had their anniversary, they asked for someone to write an article about it.
Well, when they were taking it down, I guess the community life asked for somebody to, because we lived next door, could I write something about what it was like growing up there?
And so you got it published.
And I did write it, and they put it in.
Tell me again how much you made per week.
I made $30 a week.
I think by the time
that's for an 8-hour-a-day shift.
No, 7.5.
Okay.
Well, 9 to 5 with an hour for lunch.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, I guess by the time I started, I think I started about $60.
Well, yeah, that was times had
$60
changed.
a week.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I was making about 70 when I left.
Yeah.
In 1955.
1955.
Yeah.
Right.
I never wanted to be anything but a secretary,
Yeah. You wanted to be a secretary.
Yeah, and I had an older cousin who did that, and it seemed like the perfect thing to do. And it's part of my DNA. I'm a very practical person, and I like shorthand. And I love shorthand and typing.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody knows what shorthand is anymore, but
that's right. Right.
No,
it's a lost art.
It's a lost art, exactly. Do you still enjoy living in Westwood?
To some extent. Yeah. Yeah, I've been
you
here
enjoy living.
Yeah. Do I? Not that I.
So the best part's the library, right?
Oh, of course.
That was before the days of supermarkets when we used to go I'd go tell my mother to Charlie Bruns's grocery store, and she'd tell him what she needed. He'd write it down, take the pencil from behind his ear, write it down, and then take the big reacher and get all this stuff off the top shelves.
They moved up here to the quote-unquote country in 1919.
Wow.
And then bought the house.
And that house is still in the family.
Yeah, my son owns it now. No, I remember a few little
And then
things.
we bought the house on Center Avenue next to the firehouse.
Okay.
When I was about, what?
Well, I was about 3.
I think I was 12.
Yeah, we were 11 or 12.
Okay.
Yeah. And connections.
You'll never lose Westwood, yes.
No, I always come over here for many things.
Yeah, that's great. Who was the funniest one between the two of you guys?
I don't know.
Well, you seem both easy laughers, so I think.
Oh yeah,
maybe
especially
you both
her.
That's really sweet.
Richard Sandra Coleman.
Jeez.
So this is the article that you wrote, and what
This
year?
is the article I wrote in. It's December 3rd, 1997.
And this is when they took the old firehouse down.
Yes, and it was, they wanted some reminiscence about what it was like to grow up next to the firehouse. And
They didn't actually take it down, did they?
Hmm?
They didn't actually take the firehouse down.
Yeah.
They built a new one.
Yeah, when they built the new one. Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. It's a nice big article.
Yeah, it's got it's on several pages, so it's all in pieces.
Yeah. Very
But,
nice.
and that's me and my 2 sisters, and my brother was Colorado by then.
Okay. Fountain?
In the park around where
Veterans
they
Park.
put the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that
there was
area.
there was a fountain there.
It was a big, I think it was green, big
Heavy fountain.
metal fountain. I don't remember details of it, but it was big.
Like a water fountain.
Yeah.
And then somebody climbed on top of
One
it.
of the boys from my class in school, he was kind of tended to get into trouble.
A ne'er-do-well.
Yeah, he smoked. He was, only a teenager in those days. Kids didn't smoke. And he climbed up on it with one of his friends, I guess, or... Anyway, I remember that it came down on top of him and killed him.
Yeah, that was the family that lived across from Eddie's family,
Yeah, the
they
Van
knew the Van
Blockums,
Blockums
yeah.
very well. Yeah.
What was his name?
George Van Blockum.
George Van Blockum.
Yeah, Blarcom.
Okay.
That was terrible.
Yeah, that's a sad story. But then it's funny to think of a fountain being there, significant fountain being there. It's not there anymore.
No, I think they took it down after that.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was dating Walter when I first graduated high school.
Yeah.
And then I started dating Eddie, my
I'm
husband.
like, wait a minute.
I'm just.
You're dating Walter. You're dating
Well,
Eddie.
Walter was my high school sweetheart.
Okay. Husband. When did you meet your husband? Was it?
Who, me?
Yeah. Grace.
That's a story.
Ah.
There was a letter in the paper of this guy who was in Castle Point TB Hospital in upstate New York, up in the Hudson Valley. I forget the town. And he was a veteran. He was looking for somebody to write to him. So I wrote to him, and he got hundreds of letters, and we clicked, and that's how I met him. And it turns out he didn't even send the request. A friend of his did it for a joke.
Oh, wow.
And eventually I went up there and met him, and the rest is history.
After a long time of writing to each other.
It didn't take all that long. I don't remember how long. It wasn't all that long, maybe a few months. And then I took the train up there. He wanted to meet me, and we met at the Veterans Hospital up there. He had tuberculosis.
Okay.
He had it twice because he was a pharmacist mate in the Navy, and he caught it from a patient, I guess.
So you met, do you still have the letters?
Somewhere, yeah, I do.
Oh, that's great. That's a great story.
Yeah, that's more interesting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew my husband's family all his life, but I wasn't. He was a good friend of a friend of mine, but he went in the Air Force, and he was gone for 6 years in the Air Force. And when he came back to our church.
Okay.
Yeah, he was
that's how I met him.
He was friends with our
At
brother.
that church, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That's nice. That's a good story.
Yeah,
And that.
he was home from the Air Force, and that was that. And we met, and that was it. A year later, we were married.
Ah. Wow.
So,
Were you when Grace, when you were going up to meet your husband, or your future husband, were you excited or nervous, or what was going on in your mind?
I can't
when you
remember. No, I was looking forward to it.
Yeah.
A little not anxious, I would say. Excited. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was cautious.
Yeah. You have expectations.
Yeah, I went up on the train, and I remember one time I don't know, I remember my pop coming up to pick me up, Mom and Pop, and they met him.
Oh.
But I can't remember. It couldn't have been the first time. Must have been another time. It's all kind of hazy now.
Yeah. But you went up by yourself the first time.
Yeah. Somehow I got a train out of Penn Station. I don't even remember how I did that. But I remember doing it.
Exciting. Did you feel like when you met him, did you think, oh, that's fantastic?
Yeah, I thought he was kind of cute. He was 6 feet tall, and
That's
I'm
great.
5 feet.
That is great. That's great.